The scream echoed through the twisted metal corridors of the dying space station, a sound that made engineer Marcus Chen's blood freeze in his veins. He had heard many things during his 3 years working the Outer Rim salvage operations, but nothing quite like this. The sound was primal, filled with rage and desperation that transcended species barriers. Marcus adjusted his environmental suit and checked his plasma cutter one more time before venturing deeper into the derelict vessel. The Terran Salvage Guild had picked up the distress beacon 2 days ago, broadcasting on an unknown frequency from what appeared to be a massive alien warship. The ship was unlike anything in the databases, its hull composed of some organic metallic hybrid that seemed to pulse with a faint bioluminescence even in death. The corridors were enormous, clearly designed for beings much larger than humans. Marcus estimated the ceilings were at least 4 meters high, with doorways that could accommodate creatures twice his size. The architecture was both beautiful and terrifying, featuring flowing curves that resembled bone structures and neural pathways more than traditional engineering. Another scream pierced the silence, closer this time. Marcus followed the sound, his boots echoing against the strange floor that felt warm beneath his feet despite the ship's apparent lifelessness. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows that danced across walls covered in what looked like hieroglyphs mixed with technical schematics. As he rounded a corner, Marcus found himself in what appeared to be the ship's command center. The room was vast, filled with organic-looking consoles that had gone dark. In the center of the space, trapped beneath a massive piece of collapsed ceiling, lay the source of the screaming. The creature was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. It stood nearly 3 meters tall even in its prone position, with a lupine head featuring intelligent amber eyes that burned with fury and pain. Its body was covered in silver-white fur that seemed to shimmer with its own inner light, and muscular arms ending in clawed hands that could easily tear a human apart. What caught Marcus's attention immediately was the creature's lower body, completely pinned beneath the debris, and the way its legs lay at unnatural angles. The alien's eyes locked onto Marcus, and for a moment the engineer thought he was about to become this being's final victim. Instead, the creature spoke in perfect, though accented, Terran standard. Human. The voice was deep, resonant, carrying authority even in its current state. I am Karath Vexhai, Supreme Pack Leader of the Fenris Armada. You will free me from this prison. Marcus slowly approached, keeping his hands visible and his movements non-threatening. The creature's wounds were severe, and from what he could see, the spinal damage was extensive. I'm Marcus Chen, Terran Salvage Guild. Your ship sent out a distress beacon. Are there others? Korath's eyes flashed with something that might have been grief.
Dead, all dead.
The devourers came without warning. My pack, my warriors, my children. He paused, struggling against the debris that held him. They fought bravely, but we were unprepared for their new weapons. The ship took critical damage, and in the crash, he gestured weakly at his trapped lower body. Marcus began examining the debris, calculating loads and stress points. The metal beam was massive, easily several tons, but with the right leverage and his plasma cutter, it might be possible. How long have you been trapped here? 4 cycles. Maybe 5. Time moves strangely when death approaches. Korath watched Marcus work with keen intelligence. You are not what I expected from the stories of humans. Where is your pack? Your weapons? I work alone mostly. Salvage operations don't usually require large teams. Marcus began setting up his equipment, placing hydraulic jacks at strategic points. What are these devourers you mentioned? Korath's expression darkened. Ancient enemy of all life. They consume entire worlds, leaving nothing but empty husks drifting in space. They have returned after 1,000 years of silence, and they are stronger now. My armada was the first line of defense for this sector. As Marcus worked to free the alien leader, he learned more about the Fenris people. They were an ancient warrior race, evolved from lupine predators on a harsh world where only the strongest survived. Their society was built around pack loyalty and honor, with leaders earning their positions through combat and wisdom, rather than birthright. Korath himself had united dozens of rival packs into the largest military force their species had ever assembled. Why are you helping me, human? Korath asked as Marcus made progress with the debris. Your kind has no obligation to mine. We have never been allies. Marcus paused in his work, wiping sweat from his brow. Because it's the right thing to do. Besides, if these devourers are as dangerous as you say, we're all in the same boat. The hydraulic jacks groaned as they slowly lifted the massive beam. Korath gritted his teeth as feeling returned to his lower body. Then his expression grew grim. I cannot feel my legs, human. The damage is too severe. Marcus had suspected as much from the angle of the injuries, but he kept working. With a final heave from the jacks, the debris shifted enough for him to drag Korath clear. The alien leader's lower body was clearly paralyzed, his legs unresponsive despite the alien's attempts to move them. I am broken, Korath said quietly, staring at his useless limbs. A pack leader who cannot hunt, cannot fight, cannot lead. I should have died with my warriors. That's not necessarily true, Marcus said, checking the alien's injuries more thoroughly. With the right equipment, the right technology, mobility can be restored. Maybe not the same as before, but functional. Korath looked at him with surprise. You would help me further? Why? Marcus considered the question seriously. Because I think you're needed. If these devourers are coming, someone needs to warn the galaxy. Someone needs to organize a defense. And frankly, you seem like the kind of leader who gets things done. For the first time since Marcus had found him, something like hope flickered in Korath's amber eyes. My ship is beyond repair. Even if I could move, I have no way to reach the remaining packs, no way to warn them. Maybe I can help with that too, Marcus said, his engineer's mind already working on possibilities. But first, let's get you out of here and somewhere safe. Then we can talk about building you something that'll get you back in the fight. Marcus's salvage ship Ironright was cramped with 2 occupants, especially when one of them was a 3-meter-tall alien warrior. Korath lay on the expanded medical bay bed, his massive frame taking up most of the space while Marcus ran diagnostic scans with equipment that was definitely not designed for alien physiology. Your ship is smaller than I expected, Korath observed, his amber eyes taking in every detail of the cramped quarters. How does your pack travel in such confined spaces? Humans don't really do the pack thing like you do, Marcus explained, adjusting the scanner settings. We're more individualistic. Some of us actually prefer working alone. He studied the readings with growing fascination. The Fenris physiology was remarkably complex, with redundant nervous systems and a cellular structure that seemed almost crystalline in nature. Korath attempted to prop himself up, but winced as the movement sent signals of pain through his damaged spine. This is not natural for an intelligent species. Pack unity provides strength, protection, shared wisdom. How do humans survive without it? Marcus smiled grimly. We adapt. We improvise. We build things. He pointed to the scan results. Speaking of building things, I've got some interesting news about your injuries. The damage is severe, but your nervous system is more resilient than human physiology. With the right interface technology, we might be able to bypass the damaged sections entirely. Interface technology? Korath's ears perked forward with interest. Neural implants connected to mechanical systems. Think of it as building a bridge between your brain and artificial limbs. Humans have been experimenting with similar tech for decades, though nothing quite as advanced as what you'd need. Marcus pulled up holographic displays showing various mechanical designs. The real challenge would be building something that could handle your size and strength while maintaining the fine motor control you'd need for combat operations. Korath studied the displays with the intensity of a predator examining prey. You think this is possible? Possible? Maybe. Easy. Definitely not. We'd need specialized materials, advanced processors, and a power source that could handle the energy requirements. Marcus scratched his head. Plus, we'd need to design something that works with Fenris biomechanics, which I'm still learning about. The communication array suddenly chimed with an incoming transmission. Marcus activated the display to find Captain Sarah Rodriguez of the Terran Defense Force, her stern face filling the screen. Engineer Chen, we've been tracking your position. You were supposed to report in 12 hours ago. What's your status? Marcus glanced at Korath, who nodded slightly. Captain Rodriguez, I've encountered a survivor from the derelict vessel. Supreme Pack Leader Korath of the Fenris Armada. He's provided intelligence about a potential threat to this entire sector. Rodriguez's expression shifted from annoyance to attention. Patch me through to this, Korath. Korath pulled himself into a more dignified position despite his paralyzed legs. Captain Rodriguez, I bring warning of the Devourer's return. They have destroyed my armada and will not stop with Fenris territory. Your worlds will be next. Devourers? Rodriguez frowned. I'm not familiar with that designation. Ancient enemy, Korath explained, his voice carrying the weight of terrible knowledge. They consume all biological matter on planets they encounter, leaving only barren rocks. My people have fought them before, but they have returned with new capabilities. Energy weapons that can pierce our strongest shields, ships that regenerate damage faster than we can inflict it. Rodriguez leaned forward. How long do we have? Their advanced scouts are already probing the outer systems. The main fleet will follow within days. Without a coordinated defense, every inhabited world in this sector will fall. Marcus watched the exchange with growing understanding. This was bigger than one injured alien leader. This was about survival on a galactic scale. What do you recommend, Pack Leader? Rodriguez asked. I must reach the surviving Fenris clans and unite them for a final stand. But as you can see, he gestured to his paralyzed lower body. I am currently unable to lead effectively. However, Engineer Chen has proposed a solution that might restore my capabilities. Rodriguez turned her attention back to Marcus. Explain. Marcus outlined his preliminary ideas for neural interface technology that could give Korath mobility and combat effectiveness. As he spoke, he could see Rodriguez's military mind working through the implications. The resources you're describing would be enormous, she said finally. Advanced processors, exotic materials, months of development time. And that's assuming the technology even works. Captain, Korath interjected, my people possess technologies that might complement human engineering approaches, bioorganic systems, neural enhancement techniques, materials that grow rather than being manufactured. A partnership between our species could achieve what neither could accomplish alone. Marcus felt excitement building as the possibilities became clearer. He's right. Fenris biotechnology combined with human mechanical engineering, we could create something entirely new. Not just mobility aids, but enhanced combat systems, integrated weapons platforms, maybe even ships that respond to neural commands. Rodriguez was quiet for a long moment, clearly weighing options. This is beyond my authority to approve. I'll need to contact Fleet Command and the Science Council. In the meantime, Chen, bring your passenger to Kepler Station. We'll need full medical evaluations and technical assessments. After the transmission ended, Korath looked at Marcus thoughtfully. Your captain seems competent but cautious. Will your leaders act quickly enough? Marcus began plotting a course to Kepler Station. Humans can be slow to make decisions when the stakes are this high. But when we finally commit to something, we tend to go all in. The question is whether we'll have enough time. Time is something we do not have in abundance, Korath agreed. The Devourers do not hesitate, do not negotiate, do not show mercy. They simply consume and move on. As the Ironrite jumped to hyperspace, Marcus found himself thinking about the magnitude of what they were attempting. Building neural interface technology for an alien species was challenging enough. Doing it quickly enough to matter in an approaching war seemed nearly impossible. But as he looked at Korath's determined expression, Marcus remembered something fundamental about human nature. They did their best work when the odds were impossible and the stakes were everything. Maybe that would be enough. Kepler Station buzzed with activity as word spread about the Devourer threat. Marcus had never seen the research facility move so quickly, with scientists and engineers working around the clock to understand both Korath's physiology and the technical challenges of neural interface technology. Dr. Elena Vasquez, the station's chief xenobiologist, emerged from the medical bay with the expression of amazed frustration. This is incredible, Marcus. His nervous system has redundancies I've never seen before. There are backup pathways, secondary processing nodes, even what appears to be a distributed consciousness network. It's like his brain is designed to adapt to massive trauma. Marcus looked up from the holographic displays where he was designing preliminary interface architectures. That's good news for the neural bridge concept, right? Good news and bad news, Dr. Vasquez replied. Good news is that his brain can definitely handle artificial inputs. Bad news is that it's so complex I'm not sure our current technology can interface with it properly. We'd need processors with capabilities beyond anything we've built before. Korath, who had been listening from his specialized medical bed, spoke up. My people have faced this challenge before. Not with machines, but with our own biotechnology. When a warrior is gravely injured, we sometimes use neural parasites that can bridge damaged areas of the nervous system. Parasites? Dr. Vasquez looked intrigued and slightly horrified. Symbiotic organisms, Korath corrected. They form connections with the host's neural pathways, translating intentions into action. Perhaps your machines could learn from their design principles. Marcus felt a spark of inspiration. What if we don't try to replace the biological systems? What if we enhance them instead? Hybrid technology that works with your natural healing capabilities rather than around them. Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Captain Rodriguez's voice echoed through the corridors. All personnel to emergency stations. We have multiple contacts on long-range sensors. Configuration unknown. Heading directly for this system. Marcus and Dr. Vasquez rushed to the observation deck, where Korath had somehow managed to drag himself despite his paralysis. Through the massive viewport, they could see distant flashes of light as the station's defensive systems engaged unknown targets. Devourer scouts, Korath said grimly, his enhanced vision picking out details the humans couldn't see. They move faster than expected. The main force cannot be far behind. Captain Rodriguez joined them, her face tense with worry. Our fleet is en route, but they're 6 hours out. The station's defenses are holding for now, but these attackers are using energy signatures we've never encountered. Through the viewport, they watched as one of the attacking ships absorbed a direct hit from a station defense laser, without apparent damage. The alien vessel seemed to ripple and reform, as if healing from the attack. Captain, Korath said urgently, you must evacuate the station immediately. Devourer scouts are suicide troops. They will attempt to ram the station and release consuming organisms that will devour everything biological aboard. We can't evacuate everyone in time, Rodriguez replied. Too many people, not enough transport capacity. Marcus's mind raced through possibilities. The research bay contained experimental materials, prototype technologies, and most importantly, the beginnings of the neural interface system they'd been developing. An idea began forming, desperate and probably impossible, but potentially their only hope. Korath, how exactly do your neural parasites work? Marcus asked quickly. They form temporary connections, allowing rapid adaptation to new situations. Why do you ask? Because I have a crazy idea. Marcus turned to Dr. Vasquez. The prototype neural interface we've been building, the one designed for Korath's physiology, what if we modified it for emergency use? Not permanent integration, but temporary battlefield control? Dr. Vasquez stared at him. You want to give a paralyzed alien temporary control of what exactly? Marcus pointed toward the station's defensive systems. Everything. Weapons, shields, maneuvering thrusters, environmental systems. If we can create a direct neural link between Korath and the station's main computer, he could coordinate defenses with reaction times no organic being could match. That's insane, Rodriguez said. The interface isn't even tested, and you're talking about connecting an alien brain directly to our most sensitive systems. Korath pulled himself upright with visible effort. Captain, I have commanded fleets in battles you cannot imagine. My people are born to warfare, trained from childhood to see patterns and react to threats instantaneously. If this human's technology can give me access to your weapons, I can hold them off until your fleet arrives. Another explosion rocked the station as a scout ship broke through the outer defensive perimeter. Through the viewport, they could see the organic-looking vessel heading directly for the station's main hull. Decision time, Marcus said. We either try this now or we lose everything. Rodriguez looked between Marcus's determined expression and Korath's fierce amber eyes. How long to set up this connection? 20 minutes if everything goes perfectly, Dr. Vasquez said. Longer if we encounter compatibility issues. Do it, Rodriguez decided. I'll coordinate the evacuation of non-essential personnel and try to buy you time. As they rushed toward the research bay, Marcus wondered if he was about to enable something amazing, or create a disaster that would destroy them all. The neural interface technology was theoretical at best, untested, and designed for mobility assistance rather than controlling an entire space station's worth of systems. But as he watched Korath's expression, the engineer recognized something he'd seen in human faces during Earth's darkest moments. It was the look of someone who absolutely refused to give up, regardless of the odds. Maybe that was enough. The first scout ship impacted the station's outer hull just as they reached the research bay. Time was running out, and Marcus began frantically assembling interface components while Dr. Vasquez prepared the neural connection protocols. Outside, more Devourer ships were approaching, and the station's automated defenses were proving inadequate against their adaptive technology. Korath, Marcus said as he worked, I need you to understand something. This connection goes both ways. You'll have access to our systems, but our systems will also have access to your mind. Are you prepared for that? Korath's response was immediate and unwavering. Engineer Chen, my pack is dead, my body is broken, and my enemies approach. If sharing my thoughts with your machines can save lives and buy time for resistance, then connect us. Let us see what a human engineer and a Fenris pack leader can accomplish together. The neural interface chamber hummed with barely contained energy as Marcus made the final connections. Korath lay on the modified medical table, dozens of quantum processors arrayed around him like electronic prayer wheels. The alien leader's amber eyes were closed in concentration as Dr. Vasquez calibrated the biological monitoring systems. Neural pathway mapping complete, Dr. Vasquez announced, her voice tight with tension. I'm reading massive neural activity in regions we don't fully understand. His brain is definitely responding to the preliminary interface protocols. Marcus checked the connection to the station's main computer one last time. They had essentially jury-rigged a direct link between Korath's consciousness and every system on Kepler Station, from life support to weapons arrays. It was either going to be the most successful battlefield innovation in human history, or it would kill them all. Incoming transmission from the attacking fleet. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm system. They're demanding immediate surrender and offering no terms. Through the chamber's viewports, Marcus could see the Devourer ships moving in perfect formation toward the station. Their vessels were unlike anything in human databases, appearing to be grown rather than built. The hulls pulsed with organic rhythms, and weapon ports opened like breathing apertures along their sides. Initiating neural bridge in 3, 2, 1. Dr. Vasquez activated the interface. The change in Korath was immediate and dramatic. His eyes snapped open, but instead of their usual amber, they now glowed with a soft blue light that matched the interface displays. When he spoke, his voice carried an electronic undertone that sent chills down Marcus's spine. Connection established. I can feel the station system. Incredible. Your technology thinks in patterns completely different from Fenris biotechnology. But Korath paused, his head tilting as if listening to something only he could hear. But it's learning. We're learning from each other. The station's defensive arrays suddenly came alive with activity far beyond their normal capabilities. Laser batteries that had been firing in predictable patterns began moving with organic fluidity, tracking targets with predatory precision. Energy shields adjusted their frequencies in response to incoming fire, adapting to weapon signatures in real time. How are you doing this? Rodriguez asked, her voice filled with amazement as she watched the tactical displays. Your machines process information sequentially, logically, Korath explained, his glowing eyes tracking multiple screens simultaneously. Fenris minds process everything simultaneously, intuitively. Together we can see patterns that neither could detect alone. A Devourer scout ship broke through the outer perimeter, its organic hull rippling as it absorbed defensive fire. But instead of the overwhelming attack everyone expected, Korath's response was swift and surgical. The station's tractor's beams locked onto the ship with impossible precision, holding it steady while focused laser arrays targeted specific points on its hull. Targeting neural clusters, Korath announced. Devourer ships are partially alive. Destroy the controlling organisms and the vessel becomes helpless. The scout ship convulsed as the precisely targeted weapons found their marks, then went dead in space as its organic control systems failed. Marcus watched in fascination as human technology and alien intuition merged into something greater than either could achieve alone. The station's sensors, designed to provide basic tactical information, were now functioning like enhanced sensory organs. Weapons systems that had been programmed for standard engagement patterns were adapting in real time to enemy tactics. Marcus, Korath said, his electronically enhanced voice carrying urgency, I need access to the station's fabrication systems. The Devourers are adapting to our current weapons. We must evolve our defenses faster than they can adapt. Fabrication systems? Those are designed for routine maintenance and replacement parts, not weapons manufacturing. Trust me, Korath replied, his consciousness already interfacing with the manufacturing bays. Your machines can build anything if properly instructed. Through the neural link, Marcus could sense Korath's thoughts merging with the station's industrial systems. The alien leader was somehow teaching human technology to think like Fenris biotechnology, encouraging it to grow and adapt, rather than simply follow programmed instructions. The fabrication bays erupted into activity, assembling components with configurations that defied human engineering principles. Instead of standard weapon systems, they were creating hybrid devices that combined human precision with organic adaptation capabilities. New defensive systems coming online, Dr. Vasquez reported. Staring at readings she couldn't quite understand. I'm seeing weapon configurations that shouldn't be possible with our current technology. The main Devourer fleet arrived just as Korath's hybrid weapons came online. The enemy vessels moved like a school of predatory fish, flowing around obstacles and adapting their formations in response to defensive fire. But now they faced something unprecedented. Human technology guided by alien instincts and enhanced by real-time adaptation, energy beams that started as standard. Laser fire evolved mid-shot into complex frequency patterns that bypassed Devourer. Adaptive shields. Missile systems designed for conventional warfare suddenly deployed biological components that could track targets by scent and electromagnetic signature simultaneously. Impossible. Captain Rodriguez breathed as she watched a Devourer cruiser twice the station's size retreat after taking heavy damage. Our weapons aren't designed to do any of this. Your weapons are learning, Korath explained, his consciousness distributed across dozens of systems simultaneously. Human technology has incredible potential for adaptation. It simply needed someone to show it how to grow, but the effort was taking its toll. Medical readings showed Korath's neural activity approaching dangerous levels, and the strain of maintaining connections to so many systems was beginning to cause cellular damage. We need to dial back the interface, Dr. Vasquez warned. His brain isn't designed for this level of technological integration. Cannot retreat now, Korath replied, his voice showing signs of strain. The main battle group approaches. If we cannot hold them here, they will consume this entire system before your fleet arrives. Marcus watched the tactical displays with growing horror. The Devourer main fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships of various sizes, all moving with the coordinated precision of a single organism. Even with their enhanced defenses, Kepler Station couldn't possibly survive such an assault. Korath, Marcus said urgently. We need to get you disconnected before the interface causes permanent damage. No. Korath's response was immediate and absolute. I have found something in your computer systems, Marcus. Something that changes everything. Your machines have been learning from our connection, but they have also been teaching me about human innovation. There is a way to defeat the Devourers, but it requires a sacrifice I do not think your people will understand. What kind of sacrifice? Korath's glowing eyes fixed on Marcus with an intensity that transcended species boundaries. The ultimate fusion. Not just neural interface, but complete integration. Human technology and Fenris consciousness becoming one entity. It would give us capabilities beyond anything either species has imagined. That would kill you, Dr. Vasquez protested. Perhaps, Korath acknowledged, or perhaps it would transform me into something new. Something that could stand against the Devourers and win. He paused, listening to signals only he could perceive. The main fleet will be in weapons range in 17 minutes. Decide quickly, human engineer. Will you help me become something that can save us all? Marcus stared at the readouts showing Korath's neural activity, spiking beyond all safe parameters. The alien leader's consciousness was already so deeply integrated with the station's systems that separating him might cause irreversible damage to both him and their only effective defense against the approaching Devourer fleet. There has to be another way, Marcus insisted, his hands flying over the interface controls. We can boost the neural buffers, add redundant pathways, maybe create a partial integration that doesn't require complete consciousness transfer. Marcus, Dr. Vasquez said quietly, look at the tactical display. The main Devourer fleet had arranged itself in a formation that defied conventional military logic. The ships were connecting to each other with organic tendrils, forming a massive networked organism that stretched across thousands of kilometers. As they watched, the individual vessels began pulsing in synchronized patterns. They're becoming a single entity, Korath explained, his voice now carrying harmonics that suggested his consciousness was operating on multiple levels simultaneously. This is how they consumed the Fenris home fleets. Individual ships cannot stand against a coordinated organism of this scale. Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comm system. All stations prepare for impact. Whatever they're doing out there, it's generating energy readings off the charts. The space around the Devourer fleet began to distort as massive amounts of energy built up within the organic network. Reality itself seemed to bend and warp as the alien weapons charged for what appeared to be a planet-killing strike. That level of energy discharge will destroy the station, the planet, and everything in this system, Dr. Vasquez said, her face pale as she analyzed the readings. Marcus made his decision. Korath, if you're sure about this complete integration thing, we need to do it now, but I'm not letting you go in alone. What do you mean? Korath asked. I mean, if you're going to fuse with our technology, you need a human consciousness in the mix to help guide the process, someone who understands both the technical systems and human innovation principles. Marcus began connecting additional neural interface equipment to himself. Besides, this was my idea. I should see it through. Marcus, no. Dr. Vasquez moved to stop him. We have no idea what this will do to human neural patterns. You could die, or worse, you could be trapped in a state between human and machine consciousness. Better than being completely dead when that fleet opens fire, Marcus replied, activating the human-compatible interface protocols. Besides, Korath's right about one thing. Human technology has incredible adaptive potential. Maybe it just needs the right combination of minds to unlock it. The neural connection engaged with a sensation unlike anything Marcus had ever experienced. Suddenly he could feel the station around him like an extension of his own body. Every system, every circuit, every quantum processor became as familiar as his own heartbeat. But more than that, he could sense Korath's presence, fast and alien and absolutely determined to save as many lives as possible. Fascinating, Korath's mental voice echoed through the shared consciousness. Your mind approaches problems from directions mine would never consider, and your machines respond to intention in ways Fenris biotechnology cannot. Together, their merged consciousness dove into the station's most advanced systems. The quantum computers designed for scientific research became components in a hybrid artificial intelligence that thought with both human creativity and Fenris intuition. Manufacturing systems began producing components that followed design principles neither species had discovered. Independently, the Devourer fleet completed its charging sequence and fired. The energy blast that emerged from the organic network was unlike anything in known space. It didn't travel as a projectile or beam, but rather as a wave of destructive force that turned space itself into a consuming void. Asteroids, cosmic dust, even light itself was devoured by the advancing wave of annihilation. But instead of raising shields or attempting evasive maneuvers, Marcus and Korath did something that defied every principle of defensive warfare. They opened all of the station's energy conduits and began drawing power from every available source, including the station's main reactor, life support systems, and emergency reserves. What are you doing? Rodriguez demanded over the comm. You're going to overload every system on the station. Not overloading, Marcus and Korath replied in perfect unison, their voices now an eerie blend of human and Fenris characteristics. Evolving. The station's hull began to change. Metal bulkheads flowed like liquid, reshaping themselves into organic curves that pulsed with bioluminescent energy. Weapon arrays merged and transformed into configurations that resembled both advanced technology and living tissue. The entire structure was becoming something that was neither fully mechanical nor completely biological. As the Devourer wave approached, the transformed station released its own energy pulse. But instead of destructive force, it projected something far more dangerous to the enemy fleet, pure creative potential. The wave struck the Devourer formation and began converting their consuming void into constructive energy. Ships designed to devour and destroy found themselves unwillingly participating in acts of creation. Their organic hulls began sprouting structures they couldn't control, modifications that interfered with their primary functions. Impossible, came a transmission from the Devourer fleet, the first communication they had ever offered. We are the end of all things. We cannot be made to create. You can be anything, Marcus and Korath responded, their consciousness now distributed throughout systems that spanned the entire sector. Destruction is just creation in reverse, and we're very good at reversing things. The battle became something unprecedented in galactic history. Instead of trying to destroy the Devourer ships, the transformed station began converting them, forcing their consumption-based technology to operate in reverse. Ships that had been designed to end life found themselves generating it instead. Weapons meant to devour energy began producing it. Dr. Vasquez watched in amazement as readings showed the Devourer fleet's energy signatures transforming from purely destructive patterns to something that resembled terraforming technology. They're being turned into construction ships, she breathed. But the effort was taking an enormous toll on both Marcus and Korath. Their human and Fenris physiologies were never designed to sustain this level of technological integration. Medical readings showed both consciousness patterns beginning to fragment under the strain. We're losing coherence. Marcus's mental voice whispered through the shared interface. The integration is breaking down. Then we must finish this quickly, Korath responded, his thoughts carrying the weight of ancient pack leader authority. One final push to complete the conversion process. They reached deep into the station's most fundamental systems, drawing power from the quantum foam that underlied local space-time. The energy requirements were staggering, far beyond anything their hybrid consciousness could sustain for more than moments. The final pulse erupted from the station with enough force to light up sensors across 3 star systems. When the energy discharge cleared, the Devourer fleet had been completely transformed. Their ships now glowed with the same creative energy that powered the station, their consuming void technology converted into devices capable of rebuilding entire worlds. But the cost had been enormous. Marcus felt his consciousness beginning to separate from the station's systems. As the neural interface reached its breaking point, beside him Korath's massive form lay motionless, his glowing eyes finally dimmed. "Korath?" Marcus whispered as the interface disconnected, leaving him feeling strangely empty after the expansion of consciousness he had experienced. The alien leader's eyes opened slowly, but they had returned to their natural amber color. "Still here, human engineer. Though I think we are both changed by what we experienced." Through the viewport, they could see the transformed Devourer fleet beginning to disperse, their ships now seeking worlds to heal rather than consume. The immediate threat was over, but Marcus realized that what they had accomplished would have implications far beyond this single battle. 3 weeks after the Devourer conversion, as historians were already calling it, Kepler Station had become the most important location in known space. Representatives from dozens of species arrived daily to study the transformed technology that had achieved the impossible, turning an enemy fleet dedicated to universal destruction into a force for creation and healing. Marcus stood in the observation deck, watching as converted Devourer ships worked alongside Terran and Fenris vessels to repair worlds that had been damaged in the initial attacks. The aliens who had once been humanity's greatest threat were now using their consumption technology in reverse, rebuilding entire ecosystems with efficiency that amazed even their former victims. "The neural integration left permanent changes in both of us," Dr. Vasquez said, joining him at the viewport. "Your brain now shows quantum processing patterns we've never seen in human physiology." "And Korath?" She gestured toward the rehabilitation center where the Fenris leader was working with the station's enhanced systems. Through the transparent aluminum windows, Marcus could see Korath moving through a specially designed mobility frame that responded to his neural patterns with perfect precision. The frame wasn't just mechanical. It had evolved during the integration process into something that blended human engineering with Fenris biotechnology, and even some adapted Devourer organic components. "He's not just mobile," Dr. Vasquez continued. "He's faster and stronger than he was before his injuries. The mobility frame has become part of him in ways we don't fully understand. Sometimes I think the integration never completely ended for either of you." Marcus knew what she meant. Even now, weeks later, he could sense electromagnetic patterns in ways that normal humans couldn't. When he worked with technology, the machines seemed to respond to his intentions as much as his commands. It was as if the brief merger with Korath's consciousness and the station systems had left him permanently changed. Captain Rodriguez approached them with the expression that mixed excitement with concern. "Marcus, we've received a communication from the Fenris High Command. They're requesting Korath's immediate return to coordinate the integration of converted Devourer technology with their fleet systems." And Korath's response? "That's the interesting part. He says he won't leave until he's completed a project he's been working on with you. Something he calls the Bridge Protocol." Marcus felt a flutter of excitement. The Bridge Protocol was Korath's idea for creating permanent neural interface technology that could be safely used by multiple species. Instead of the dangerous full integration they had used during the crisis, the protocol would allow limited consciousness sharing for specific purposes like enhanced space combat, scientific research, or complex engineering projects. The implications are staggering, Dr. Vasquez said. If we can create stable neural bridges between different species, it would revolutionize everything from space exploration to diplomatic relations. As if summoned by their conversation, Korath approached them in his mobility frame. The device was beautiful in its alien functionality, flowing around his body like liquid metal, while providing support that allowed him to move with predatory grace, despite his paralyzed legs. His amber eyes held the same intelligence and determination they always had. But now there was something else, a sense of connection to systems and technologies that transcended species boundaries. Engineer Chen, Korath said, his voice carrying harmonics that suggested ongoing technological integration. I have completed the initial designs for personal bridge protocol units. Would you care to review them? They moved to the research bay where Korath had been working. The designs displayed on the holographic projectors were unlike anything Marcus had seen. Instead of the crude, jury-rigged interface they had used during the crisis, these devices were elegant combinations of human quantum processing, Fenris bio-neural networks, and adapted Devourer organic computing systems. Individual units that can create temporary neural bridges between beings of different species, Korath explained. Not the dangerous full integration we experienced, but controlled consciousness sharing for specific purposes. Imagine human creativity combined with Fenris tactical instincts and Devourer adaptive capabilities, all working together toward common goals. Marcus studied the designs with growing amazement. This could change everything. Cooperative space exploration, joint research projects, even enhanced diplomatic communications. But who would volunteer for the first tests? Korath's expression became almost predatory with anticipation. I had hoped you would ask. The initial bridge protocol units are designed for human-Fenris interface. We have already proven the compatibility of our consciousness patterns. Before Marcus could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the station. But these weren't attack warnings. They were arrival notifications. Through the viewport, a massive fleet was dropping out of hyperspace, ships representing species from across the galaxy. Captain Rodriguez's voice echoed through the station. All personnel, we are receiving diplomatic requests from the Altarian Federation, the Silicon Collective, the Hive Worlds, and 17 other civilizations. They're here to formally request assistance with something called the Synthesis Project. Dr. Vasquez pulled up the incoming transmissions. They want help converting their own defensive technologies using the principles we discovered during the Devourer conversion. Apparently, news of our ability to transform destructive technology into creative force has spread across the entire galaxy. Marcus looked at Korath, seeing his own realization reflected in the alien leader's amber eyes. They hadn't just solved one crisis. They had sparked a galactic transformation. Species that had never cooperated before were now seeking to combine their technologies using human Fenris bridge principles. The galaxy is changing, Marcus, Korath said quietly. The age of isolated species competing for resources may be ending. What we accomplished during the crisis has shown everyone that cooperation between different forms of consciousness can achieve what none could manage alone. Over the following days, Kepler Station became the center of unprecedented interspecies cooperation. Altarian crystal-based technology merged with human quantum systems. Silicon collective mechanical precision, combined with Fenris biological adaptation. Hive world collective consciousness principles enhanced individual decision-making processes. Marcus found himself at the center of it all, his altered neural patterns allowing him to interface with technologies from dozens of different species. The brief integration with Korath had left him uniquely qualified to facilitate cooperation between radically different forms of consciousness and technology. But it was Korath who surprised everyone the most. The paralyzed pack leader had become something unprecedented, a diplomatic bridge between species that had never trusted each other. His mobility frame had evolved further, incorporating technology from every species that visited the station. He was becoming a living symbol of what interspecies cooperation could achieve. There is irony in this. Korath told Marcus as they watched representatives from the most warlike species in the galaxy working together on joint engineering projects. I was broken, unable to fulfill my duties as a pack leader. Yet in being rebuilt, I have found a purpose greater than anything I could have imagined. Marcus smiled, remembering the screaming, desperate alien he had found trapped in the wreckage of a dying ship. I think you've exceeded everyone's expectations, including your own. As have you, human engineer. You asked me once why I was helping you understand Fenris technology. Now I must ask you the same question in reverse. Why do you continue to help me become something new? Marcus considered the question seriously as he watched ships from dozens of civilizations working together to convert destructive technologies into tools of creation and exploration. Because this is what humans do. We build things. We make connections. We turn impossible problems into opportunities. He paused, then added, and because I think the galaxy is about to need every bridge it can get.